Holding the cross. The cross is maybe the most prominent symbol of our faith. So in carrying it, you have an important responsibility. Before we even get to holding the cross, let's mention two qualities: dignity and grace. When you walk into the nave with the cross in your hands, the cross in your hands, becomes the center of attention. So you should conduct yourself with that in mind. Your eyes should be straight ahead. Your steps should be steady. It is an honor to bear this important symbol of our parish and our faith, and your demeanor should reflect that. In terms of actually holding the cross, the most important consideration is balance. The cross is top-heavy, so before you ever actually carry it in a service, you will want to practice getting a sense of the balance needed to carry it steadily. There are two things that you can do to help you with that balance. First, make sure your hands are spread sufficiently apart. One hand should be at or near your waist, the other sufficiently higher to allow you to control the primary weight of the cross, which will be above you. The other tip is that the cross should be held against your body. Lastly, one of the hymns we sing most commonly in the Episcopal Church is "Lift High the Cross." You should take that to heart. Hold the cross high above you. Holding a torch. Much that can be said about holding the cross can also be said about holding the torch. The torches light the way, so we want them to be seen and carried with grace and dignity. The torches are obviously not nearly as heavy as the cross. Still, they should be well balanced in the hands spread apart. One hand should be near the waist, the other nearer to your head. Like the cross, they should be held against the body for stability, not out in front of your body. In terms of height, a torch should be held high enough to be seen. But since there are two of them, it's also important to match height with your fellow torchbearer. Holding the banner. Again, many of the same principles that apply to the cross also apply to the banner. Most significantly, the banner is also very top-heavy. Also, like the cross, you will want to hold the banner high enough to be seen, but not so high that you'll topple over. The St. Paul's banner is very loose at the top, meaning that it can start to swing to the left and right. So you will want to try and hold it as still as possible. As with the cross and torches, you never bow with the banner in your hands. Primary cross movement. When given the signal by the priest, the first server should retrieve the cross from its stand, turn left to walk to a position that will put you immediately on the floor in front of the altar. You stop and turn a quarter turn to the left so that you are positioned precisely in front of the big cross that hangs behind the altar. Primary torch movement. When the cross is retrieved, you should pick up your torch and position it for carrying. The main thing to remember is that you should coordinate your movements with the crossed first server and your fellow torchbearer. When you reach the steps in front of the altar, turn to the inside and face the altar beside the cross. You should be standing side by side with the first server. When it's time for the reading of the gospel, we process the gospel book out to mid-nave. The second server walks up to the altar, retrieves the gospel book, and takes one step down facing the congregation, holding the book above their head. Whoever is reading the gospel lesson will take the gospel book from the second server, open it to the appropriate page, and then hand it back to the second server to hold while it's being read. The book should be held in the open hands at roughly chest level. After the lesson is finished, the person reading it will hold the book high, say, "The Gospel of the Lord," close the book, and hand it back to the second server. At this point, both the person reading the gospel and the second server should step to the side and out of the way of the first server with the cross and torch bearers to allow them to pass by.